Welcome to Timeless Mysteries, uh, where we discuss the impossible. Please like and subscribe to my channel and join my community. Today we're going to be talking about Cindy Watts. If anybody ever joins, just give it a couple more minutes. Welcome to Timeless Mysteries, where we talk about some of the most impossible things. Today I plan on talking about Cindy Watts, the mother of Chris Watts, who's notorious for murdering his family. If you're interested in that. Welcome to Timeless Mysteries. Please like and subscribe to my channel. We're going to be talking about Chris Watts and his mother today. So after Chris Watts got arrested, his parents, Ronnie and Cindy Watts, were devastated. They spoke to reporters from their home in North Carolina. They expressed their disbelief and their heartbreak. And despite their plea for help, they struggled to accept the reality of what happened. Cindy, in particular, was devastated, and she was basically in denial. Wow, this is surprising. I've got nobody here. Is my life even working? Let's check. Looks like it's working. So, wow, got some background. Hello, welcome to Timeless Mysteries. Today, I plan to talk about some true crime trivia. I've got some other things to talk about too, once people, join. There's some famous true crime cases, and let's see. We could talk about Jack the Ripper. He began his murder spree back in 1888 in Whitechapel district of London. Hey, how's it going? The Strongest Hero. Welcome to my live. This is Timeless Mysteries. Today I plan on talking about true crime. Later today I am going to be posting a video that's also true crime in the genre. I'm actually doing pretty good. There was an air show today that I wanted to go to, but I kind of missed it. I overslept. So I just thought, since I'm not doing anything, I might as well try going live again. And I was planning on doing some trivia, maybe get some people to, chat with me about different true crime stuff. Does anyone know when Ted Bundy was actively killing people? The years he was geez. People are stupid. That's all I gotta say. People say mean things just to be mean sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I have not had that issue yet. I sound like a cartoon character. Is that good or bad? Yeah, you know, I've been working really hard on this channel. I started making YouTube videos last year around September, and I have actually 3 channels. This is my 3rd one. My first one was a ghost channel, and it did really well around Halloween, but it kind of didn't do well after that. And then I actually tried to make you know, I tried to make a channel on just on true crime, and for whatever reason YouTube wouldn't monetize it, so, or Google wouldn't you know, monetize it, however it gets monetized or whatever. So then I started working on this channel, which is Timeless Mysteries, which is I typically do you know, historical mysteries, but I'm gonna start doing a little bit of true crime also, because I did have a channel dedicated solely to true crime, but it didn't get monetized. This one did get monetized. You know, I still like writing about historical mysteries. I find it's a lot of fun, but you know, I also have a lot of interest in true crime. So I've been working on several videos on the Chris Watts murders, if you're familiar with those. Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters back in 2018, and he had a mistress, and there's a big thing with that case. So it's really fun to talk about. You know, it's still disturbing to talk about, but there's a lot of interesting things that you can find out. But today I just plan to go live and kind of talk about my channel, and maybe do some true crime trivia. You know, like did you know the FBI top 10 list was created in 1950? Yeah, it's been around for a while. You know, I do have different topics also. I do some ghost stories, like historical ghost locations, talk about the history behind it. I'm trying to kind of expand. My videos are definitely getting better. Since when I first started, they were terrible. I'm not really sure how I ended up getting monetized to begin with, but I did. But I'm hoping that I can start doing these lives and get some more people actively involved in my channel. And you know, it would be nice to have people who, you know, want to help with the discussion, so I'm not always just you know, kind of going through different topics on my own, figuring out what I like and just write about that because it's interest to me. I can write about things that are interesting to other people too. I've got videos on like Atlantis, and you know, people talk about Atlantis a lot, and there's lots of stories about where it is and everything. But in my video that I did on it, I discussed how it's really just all fiction, and it wasn't ever really believed to be true until like 500 years after it was written about, or maybe 1,000 years. I can't remember the exact dates, but it was written about by Plato as an analogy, as some futuristic town. Appalachia folklore. Like, what do you have in mind? I'm trying to think of oh, I got a good conspiracy for sure. I know everybody's seen the news where there was that gun shooting at the Trump campaign, whatever it's called. I'm not really political or anything. I'll just tell you that right now. But I don't believe for a second that that was a real shooting. Because he's got the Secret Service there, and they're standing there checking all the buildings, from everywhere, all the rooftops, anything that's close by that could possibly be used to, for a sniper location. And then aside from the Secret Service, then there's the CIA who's also there, probably, scanning the crowd, and then plus the local law enforcement and all of that stuff. Um, and so I think Trump basically hired somebody to do a fake shooting. Why else would he be like, giving the like, yeah, after he's like rushed out of it. It took him like 5 minutes to get to his car and everything. I just don't think it didn't seem real. And it really shows how bad the law enforcement, the Secret Service, and everything is. If that was a real a thing, I think Trump probably made it so he would be in the news. So give some people stuff to talk about. You can't really hate somebody who's a victim of something, like that. But as far as conspiracy goes, that's one thing I've been thinking about for the last couple days, and I've actually been considering writing about it, but I don't know what people would say, if I start telling them that Trump didn't really get shot at, that was a fake shooter, it was all staged, and just to make him look good on TV and get some more sympathy votes. But let's see, the voice in the woods and the wood boogers. I don't think I've ever heard of the wood boogers. Wood boogers. Let me Google that real quick. Oh, is that like a Bigfoot in the Appalachian region? Ah, okay. Yeah, so you believe in Bigfoot then? Let's see. So the first recorded sighting of Bigfoot was actually, it goes all the way back into Native American folklore, and it's been called many different things, but it was actually found in seen first in the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot was a term that came out probably in the 90s, maybe a little bit earlier than the 70s or something, the mid 20th century, when they found some extra large footprints somewhere in California. But there's I'm trying to see if I can find anything from the Appalachian Mountains. So that's on the Appalachian. Let's see. So it looks like Wise County in Virginia has had the most sightings reported since the 1970s. There's also Jefferson National Forest. Hikers see Bigfoot there pretty regularly, and then this creature, whatever it is, even if it's just like a homeless guy wearing blankets, that looks like fur from a distance or something, they're seen all over the place, in Tennessee, West Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, but the term wood booger is that is used specifically in the Appalachian region to describe Bigfoot. nobody's ever found Bigfoot, so they can't prove that it's real or not real. Oh, okay. North Carolina. Let me see what I can find in North Carolina. So you know where the Uwharrie National Forest is? That's probably, that's one place I think I've heard of. Uwharrie, or something like. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me Google that. So, trying to pull up some facts here. So there's just a quick Google search of the Uwharrie National Forest. It looks like the most recent sighting that was popular was in 2018. Some investigators have footage of Bigfoot, but none of these footages ever come out to be real. But I've wanted to go hunting for Bigfoot, and hopefully I don't find a bear. But Bigfoot is it's an interesting story, especially if it is a human-like creature, and that maybe it is intelligent like a human. But from what I'm first of all, I'm a skeptic, so my first thought is always that it's a person, and they're probably people who live in the woods because they're homeless, and their clothes are not real, like normal clothes, because they don't have any way to clean them, so they just end up with like this weird look to them, and they try to stay away from people, so you end up with these like Bigfoot sightings when people can't explain what they saw. The voice in the woods, okay. I'm gonna check that out. The voice in the wood. That is the title of a book, and this is probably also in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm still looking. I heard a voice call out my name. What is this? Oh, this is on Reddit. No, this is not that. But well, this is interesting. I'm a Nepalese guy living in Norway. A couple years back, there was a trail between my neighborhood and the school I used to go to. It took about 10 minutes to get across, covered full of trees and branches and deep valley. And a deep valley that you need to climb through a little creek to get through. On a particular day, the leaves were falling from the trees and the temperature was, getting colder. And then he experienced this hyper comfortable feeling, hyper uncomfortable feeling like he was getting watched. And then he says he felt like he was being hunted, and then he had stronger feelings, and then he heard someone yell out his name, and he looked back and there was nothing there. That was creepy. And then the problem was someone could have been yelling his name, but at the same time the yelling came from this little from a rock a little bit. What? This is crazy. But this guy thinks he saw a skinwalker, and it was a fake voice. is what he's basically saying. That's crazy. So you think it's like a skinwalker then, maybe? I'm looking to see, here, let me see. There's got to be other things like this. I think the most scary story I've ever heard is about the thin man or the skinny guy thing. It's like a skinny shadow. That one always freaks me out. Well, folklore. Let me see what else I can find. There's got to be more to this. It's an eerie, unexplained sound and voices heard deep in the forest. These experiences are common in the Appalachian Mountains, and it's part of the local folklore, and it's been attributed to various causes, from natural acoustic effects to supernatural entities. You know, when you're in the woods, sometimes you don't realize how far your voice can carry. You know, maybe you don't see somebody, but they could be like a half a mile down the way talking, you know, and that voice carries. But there's like this wailing woman that she cries for her lost loved ones. And, you know, the phantom whistler too. That would kind of creep me out if I heard somebody whistling and I'm walking through the woods by myself. And but the disembodied voices, that's freaky too. There are reports of people having conversations that seem to come from nowhere. They're faint and ethereal, like almost sounds like you might consider yourself you know, having some kind of hallucination, because if you can't understand what's going on. But I think that's probably in a woods situation where there's lots of trees, and depending on the leaves and you know, the terrain, your voice can carry pretty far, and you know, it bounces off of things, so it could be somebody from very far away that you're hearing. You know, and it could be auditory hallucinations, which hopefully you would know you already have hallucinations before you're walking around in the woods by yourself. Let's see. The black cast across your path. This white entity, creature. A white entity. Let's see. Entity. Crosses your path. The white lady. Perhaps that's what we're talking about. But if you encounter the white lady, which is a ghostly figure, she's seen as pale, spectral. She's dressed in white, and she's wandering the forest. And she could be wandering on the road also. But if you encounter the white lady, it's said to bring misfortune, much like the black cat crossing your path. And this can be anything from ranging from minor mishaps to significant tragedies. And there are stories that if you see this white woman, it's a warning of some impending doom. But there are said to be many, many Appalachian spirits in that area, and they can take on all kinds of forms. The white entities are often considered spirits of the dead, who have not found peace, They died under tragic circumstances, and they bring bad luck. Um, and it looks like people encounter these more during certain times of the year, like Halloween especially. And my thoughts on this, when there's more sightings of something supernatural, I think there's like this power of thought that makes things, when a group of people think something's going to happen, eventually you're going to see it, kind of like mass hysteria. So on Halloween, around probably October, I guess, that's when people are going to probably see the white lady. And that's because they're expecting to see ghostly stuff. And they could be manifesting these spirits by the power of thought, you know. It's kind of like if you've seen the movie Rose Red, where they bring a bunch of psychics into a house and the house comes alive. I think it's like that, in different times of year when people are, expecting haunted things. They believe in, ghosts during that time more than other times. And, then people actually see these things, and it's part of that. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more research on this woman in white, because it looks like she doesn't just travel on in the woods either. She can be following roads, and that's creepy. I've had two ghost experiences in my life, and I don't know. I can't really explain it. But I lived in a fraternity house in Manhattan, Kansas, and it used to be a hospital, and everybody in my house knew this place was haunted, and nobody would go down into the basement to do laundry by themselves because they were afraid. And I always did. I was never afraid. But one night I was going to sleep. I had gone to like Burger King, and I got like a I had a big giant soda that I didn't drink, and I set it on a coffee table. The coffee table had nothing on it, and I'm just laying there in bed trying to fall asleep in the dark, and then all of a sudden I hear this dripping sound, and I finally, after a few seconds, I don't know how long, but I finally decided to turn on the light and see what it was, and my soda that was full tipped over in the middle of the coffee table. It didn't even fall off the coffee table. It just like fell over and was spilling onto the floor. And that is one thing that I've never been able to justify how it could have happened. Like if it was sitting on some paper or something, and it tipped over, maybe gravity could have pushed it over. But it was flat on the table. Like none of the edges on the bottom of the cup were like dented, so it wasn't like, possibly tipping over, folding, how there's a bottom edge on those paper cup things. There was nothing, no reason for it to fall over. There was no wind. I didn't even have a fan on. It was the winter time, so it was actually kind of cold. It's definitely unexplainable. And you can look up this fraternity house in Manhattan, Kansas. We even had ghost hunters come out there one time. They didn't find anything, but the show Ghost Hunters, they came there and they did their readings and everything, but they didn't find any spirits. But it used to be a hospital before it got turned into a fraternity house. And I don't know, I remember a couple times where, somebody went down into the laundry room. It's a basement. There's like a basement, and then there's a sub basement below that, and that's where the laundry room was. And the basement was actually our dining hall. That's where we ate. And then this other little, it was another 12 steps down or something, and it was dark in there, and there was 4 or 5 washing machines in there. And this one guy, I don't know, he came screaming up the stairs one night, like, because he had to come up from the basement, the sub basement into the dining hall, and then up those stairs into, you know, um, into the main area. And I mean, he was screaming on the top of his head. I mean, it was scary. Like everybody like came to see what the heck happened, and he said that he saw something in the laundry room, and he never went back down there ever. He did not do his laundry there. He took his laundry down the street and washed him somewhere else. And I think after that semester, he actually did not even live there anymore. He left. But there was ghost stories about this place having um, a a patient from the hospital who suffocated when they were taking everybody out. He somehow fell into the crack of the wall in the bed, and he suffocated there, and he died in the hospital because it was a hospital at the time. But this patient was a Star Trek fan, and so anytime, like, you know, Star Trek comes on, people's TVs would get to, you know, turned on by themselves, and Star Trek would come on. And it was kind of weird, you know. But the Delta Sigma Phi house in Manhattan, Kansas, you can check it out. Um, it's I don't know. I think they're rebuilding it now, but it was when I was there back in 2007, it was getting pretty bad. We had a bat problem there in the attic. We couldn't even get an exterminator to come out to take care of the bats. And every once in a while we'd get a bat in the house and have to catch it and let it go. But there was hundreds of them in the attic. So, and you know, they kept building on new additions to the house, to the hospital. But it was getting really run down. And I think a couple years ago they started refurbishing it, spent a couple $1 million to fix it up. But there's interesting stories there for sure. But yeah, the belief in these white entities crossing your path is specific to the Appalachian folklore. You know, I don't know why black cats are so unlucky. But even myself, who is a skeptic, when I see a black cat, I try to avoid going through its path. I'll go around it if I can. And then if I can't, I try to justify that I saw a white spot on his tail, so he's not completely, you know, maybe a white spot on his chest or his tail or somewhere on his foot, you know, not completely all black. And then I don't have bad luck, but it's crazy. Let me see more Appalachian. So I wonder what this voice sounds like when it calls out to you from the woods, you know. Because if it's like a skinwalker, you know, those things I think want to eat you, man. I mean, anything that's trying to lure you somewhere off the path into the woods is probably not going to be doing anything good with you. So even if it's not a real ghost and it's a person, you know, probably stick to the path and don't go see who it is or what it is. And it could be a serial killer. Let's see. Trying to see if there's like any festivals or something that talk about this. Yeah, don't stare out into the darkness for too long, for sure. It starts to stare back at you, pull you in. Yeah. Let's see. I've wanted to drive down the Devil's Highway at night, but I have never got to. But I did. I did see part of it one time, but that place kind of, feels spooky when you drive down that road. Supposedly there's like an evil trucker that can run you off the road, and there's skinwalkers involved there too. Route 66, and then there's like another Route 6, so it becomes Route 666, and there's all kinds of stories about that place. I went down Route 66, and I think they took down the sign that called the other part Route 6 or whatever it was, so it's no longer 666. They renamed it, but it's still the same thing. Route 66 was designated Route 666 in 1926. It's a famous branch of the Route 66 that ran through the Four Corners, through Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. But the name got changed in 2003, so now it became Route 491 in Colorado and Utah. And it's redesignated U.S. Route 191. So if you ever want to have a spooky experience, drive down that road at night. But there's a lot of things with ghost sightings, unexplained lights, mysterious voices, demonic vehicles, you name it. There's all kinds of weird stuff that happened there. But the Skinwalkers was a part of a legend of one of the tribes that from somewhere on that highway. Let me see who it was. Skinwalkers. It's the Navajo Native American legend, and they transform into dogs and shape-shift into other animals, let's see, they always have malicious intent. They use their powers to cause harm. They cause car accidents, steal livestock, wreak havoc on people. And a little known fact is it's actually taboo to talk about skinwalkers in the Navajo culture. But these phantom beasts have been reported for years, being seen on Route 666. They also mimic voices, so you might think that you're talking to whoever's with you, and they're telling you, I need help over here, but they're really not who you think they are, and they're probably going to eat you. There's lots of mutilated corpses, animal corpses found there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So unless you really want to, I think avoiding driving this road at night is probably the best thing. But yeah, my grandpa is Cherokee, and well, I guess technically I am too. But I only just found out for sure that I was Cherokee a few years ago when I did a DNA test and discovered one of my second cousins, my grandpa's niece. So basically his sister's daughter reached out to me through, what was it? I forget that, Ancestry.com, yeah. And she was like, hey, you know, I've been looking for your mom and your aunt for like years and da 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 da. But she had all the paperwork to get, my whole family is now registered as Cherokee. But my grandpa used to always say he was Cherokee, but nobody ever believed him because he couldn't really prove it. So now we can, all because of DNA testing. So just Googling, yeah, I'm trying to see if I could find other interesting stuff from the Appalachian Mountains. Um, and there's the Brown Mountain lights floating over Brown Mountain for centuries. I need to see that for myself. I don't even know where Brown Mountain is, but that's in North Carolina. Have you been to Brown Mountain? It's okay. I don't mind talking about this stuff. It's actually kind of fun, and I'm reading right now. I'm reading about the Brown Mountain lights. These glowing orbs of light that appear in the night sky above Brown Mountain. The lights are white, yellow, and red, and sometimes blue. And they vary in size and intensity. Sometimes they move erratically. Sometimes they float and hover. The lights, I guess, are only seen sometimes, but most commonly they're reported during clear, dry conditions. So, and it looks like it was seen back even as far back into the Cherokee. When the Cherokee were there in North Carolina area, they have legends about these lights. Even the early settlers, and there have been some scientific interest in figuring out what these lights are since the early 1900s. But they think it's atmospheric conditions that are basically reflecting lights from far away, like mirages in the night, or swamp gas. But is there even swamps in North Carolina? I'd be leaning more towards UFOs myself. Something supernatural. But yeah, Brown Mountain is located on Highway 181 in North Carolina. And there's a famous viewing spot, it looks like, to see these lights. Wiseman's View is in, so Brown Mountain Overlook is where a lot of people like to go, and then there's Wiseman's View, but it's in the Pisgah National Forest. It gives you a panoramic view of Linville, Georgia, and Brown Mountain. But those lights bring a lot of tourists to the area. It's been featured in many different TV shows and documentaries. There's lots of books on it. It was even in the X-Files. But yeah, I would love to go check that out and see those lights. Well, anyways, James, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and end this live. But feel free to, you know, like and subscribe to my channel. I am going to be posting some like historical mysteries, stuff like this, even in the future. I'm currently writing. I'm working on a bunch of stuff about Chris Watts, so I've got several videos upcoming regarding that murder. But you know, I'm kind of gonna cycle through true crime, historical mysteries, and ghost stories, I think. And but I'm trying to get my channel to grow, so I'm trying to, you know, look at the bigger picture of everything, and not just focus on one specific thing all the time. So, but anyways, thanks for. Yes, you piqued my interest. I'm gonna do some research, some real research, and then maybe come up with something to write about. But I really think the Brown Mountain one is a good topic. It seems like a lot of people have seen the lights, and so it makes it you know, easier to talk about, rather than stuff where you don't know for sure if people are just having hallucinations or you know, something else. But yeah, but I will do a video on one of these topics, and maybe I can get some. Maybe I'll do some research, look at some maps, find out where all this stuff is, and make a video related to some of this stuff. Maybe more than one you know, in one video, more than one topic in a video or something. Because I think the white woman is a good story also. Especially, you know, it's only what, 5 months until Halloween. It'd be good to get some ghost stories on here for that. So. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, and you know, like and subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you around soon. Have a good day.